How's it going, everybody? For this collection update, I have two items, but they're both really cool items. Which to start with? Okay, let's start with this one. For the Sega Saturn, this is Mr. Bones. This is a really interesting side-scroller game. Unlike any other, really, because you play as a skeleton. I guess kind of like in Medieval and Medieval 2 on PS1. And so the front cover is just awesome because you got this our hero here playing a freaking electric guitar. And the premise of the game is, don't quote me here because this is just what I saw off of the trailer. I actually never played this when I was a kid. But on the trailer or the intro that I saw, it was like some evil wizard guy, and he had raised a bunch of dead skeletons, and they all had red glowing eyes. But he had blue glowing eyes, and he was like, "Guys, let's have a good time and party." And he's like, "He's corrupted. Get him!" And so you're like this one skeleton out of the bunch who's like not evil and corrupted, I guess. Just an interesting thing, really. So let's read the back of it here. It says, "Assume the role of Mr. Bones, a dead blues musician resurrected from his grave who finds himself part of Dagulian's evil army of darkness. Battle this army of darkness before it succeeds in spreading evil throughout the world." Drop dead, never before seen animation. Original music by blues guitarist Ronnie Montrose. Revolutionary real-time shadows and storytelling. Over 20 marrow-tingling levels of unique gameplay. Marrow-tingling. And so, take a look. The game is actually 2 discs. And both of them are in great shape. I took a look at them. And let me pop the manual out here real quick and just see if there's anything interesting or worth mentioning here. Reattaching body parts. The leg bone's connected to the hip bone. The hip bone's connected to the ... So this is just kind of telling like some different parts about the game and how it works. Exotic / special configurations. Interesting stuff. So, I can't wait to do a review over this. Oh, guitar solo. This looks like some, like, I don't know what this is, but let me read guitar solo because I gotta know. It's on the cover. "The skeletons are just dying to hear you. You've got to inject some soul into that legion of cold hearts. The A, B, C, X, Y, and Z buttons activate an assortment of riffs and tasty licks. The better you play, the more blue they get." Cool. So, that has been Mr. Bones. Oop, did not get the manual pushed in there all the way. Can't have that. No, no, no. There seems to be something impeding its progress. I'm not quite sure what. Can you please just put the manual back in, please? There we go. That has been Mr. Bones for the Sega Saturn. Let's move on. One other game, a 3DO game. I know, I've really started collecting them heavily. This is an interesting and cool one. The Horde for the 3DO. Now take a look at that cover. Interesting, right? And let me tell you the premise first, because Lord knows the way that they worded shit like these kinds of games, the way they worded shit back then, you had no idea what you were playing. So here's the premise. Long story short, you are this guy and you are basically building a village, and you're fortifying its defenses, hiring knights and archers, building traps and stuff like that to keep it protected. Then you're given this magic sword. And then the second half of the game starts where it gets swarmed by the Horde, or Hordelings as they're called in the game. And basically you test yourself against the waves of enemies and then continue on making your village or kingdom more and more awesome. Kind of reminiscent of like Dungeon Keeper or Dungeon Keeper 2 on the PC, if you ever played those back in the day. Dungeon Keeper 2, by the way, one of my top 5 favorite games of all time. But you know, actually, that's a good time to say, let me get some feedback from you guys. Anyone who watches this, I've been thinking long and hard now about buying myself an old regular PC to play some of the like 90s and forward just regular PC games. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you think it's worth it? Do you think I should do it on a modern day computer? How would I go about, you know, recording them? Because a lot of that stuff won't run on a modern day computer. So I'll get to know what you guys think. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. Here's what the back of the box says. It says, Hordlings are loud, red, ridiculous, and hungry, with a particular taste for villages. Your village. They swarm from all directions, munching your cows and your corn crop. Corn crop. They are drooling, fat, voracious eaters, and they reek like an outhouse. Interesting play on words there. It's your turf, so you fight back. You chop with the magical Grimthwacker, puree with archers, dredge moats, and build rows of spike-lined pits. But still, they come. Sizzling with 35 minutes of live-action digitized video starring Kirk Cameron as Chauncey and Michael Gregory as the evil High Chancellor. Belly-busting original action strategy mayhem, mouth-watering texture matte 3D Amazons, knights, and hordlings. Original finger-licking good music, drool buckets and nose plugs sold separately. What the fuck? I think they're giving themselves a little bit too much credit on that. So, let me start by opening the bottom of the box, because that's how some of these were. You had to open both sides if you wanted to get to like the manuals and the discs. So, here's the case. Now, to be fair, it does not come with this. I actually made that myself just because I don't like the way a naked jewel case looks. So yeah, I modified it, whatever. But I think it looks better with my little insert that I created for it. And here is what the disc looks like. Pretty standard. And now, I guess I can pull these out the bottom. Yeah. Now let's take a look at what all came with it. So here's the manual, and let's see if it says anything interesting here. I can already tell I'm gonna like it with that medieval style font and like these like old school animated pictures going on here. This tells the backstory, but it's a little bit long to read on the video here. Well, actually it's not that long. I'll just read it off real quickly. A princely reward. Chauncey always did his best, be it pouring the wine, handing round turkey, or clearing away the constant mess. After all, he was serving nobility who live on a higher plane than most mortals. In fact, so entranced were the courtly eaters, stuffing their faces and regaling the table with raunchy episodes from their noble lives, that no one was paying attention. So when King Winthrop, dazzled by yet another of High Chancellor's windy war stories, started to huff and hack, it was Chauncey who darted to the rescue. He pounded the royal shoulders and squeezed him round the middle in a Heimlich maneuver to match the king's girth, that is to say, of epic proportions, until the unchewed morsel of turkey launched like a bounding boulder from His Majesty's gullet, and the king was saved. The lofty company was so shocked by the skirmish that the High Chancellor, in a burst of loyalty, yelled for Chauncey's arrest. But the king sputtered in proclamation, punctuated by flying turkey bits, "He saved my life. He is a hero." And on the spot, King Winthrop the Good knighted the astonished Chauncey and handed over his mighty sword, Grimthwacker. A king herd of wild cows. A kind herd of wild cows. Now Chauncey, who moments before was naught but a skinny serving boy with no kin save a kind herd of wild cows who raised him, found himself Sir Chauncey the Brave, holder of vast tracts of land. The bad news is, Cronus Maylor, the evil High Chancellor, is a realm-snatching throne jumper who wants the king dead. Now this key-biting royal interloper has to get rid of Chauncey too. But the good news is, with Grimthwacker and several other magical items, Chauncey may actually thwart the evil High Chancellor's nefarious schemes and build his lands into a thriving community. the Horde. But the even worse news is Chauncey's lands are overrun with the Horde. These hulking, galloping mobs of loud, red, ravenous eaters perfume the air with an odious O-Day outhouse, while insatiably gobbling cow flesh and anything else they can shove into their unflossed maws. But the hopeful news is, Hordelings are pretty stupid. So, there's still a chance that Chauncey can rid the land of the overwhelming, ever-chomping plague and become the most renowned hero in Franz Powanki history. That is, if he can stop tripping over his sword. What a jest, right? I know you're probably wondering, where did the British voice come from? I just think that stories sound better when you read them in a British accent. Moving on. Came with the manual, because I just read some of it. It also came with this weird little card that is labeled the Horde 3DO Manual Addendum. So they were like, shit guys, we forgot to include some stuff in the manual, just throw it on here. Seasonal reports. Like the Farmer's Wagon, the seasons start their roll, and like the Farmer's Almanac, the seasonal reports tell you what's up, including your tax, bite, and crowns, how many hirelings, knights, and archers you've employed, the fees that your hirelings will charge in the next season. Dig. Dig allows you to remove rubble, may take several tries, and expand and shrink channels of water. Employ Knight/employ Archer. You will be charged for the services of your Knight and Archer every season. Weapons. Bomb. Walk to the bomb and kick it at a Hordeling. Mystical Morning Star. Spin around, destroying everything in its path. And Roscoe. When activated, this magical beast torches all Hordelings around Chauncey. Caution, he's dumb enough to torch everything, including huts, villagers, and cows. This talks about saving and loading your games. And then randomly, and this is what cracks me up, at the very bottom in this tiny font, it's just like, note, the kudzu is a red fungus which can invade your land and destroy your crops. In battle mode, Chauncey can walk over dangling kudzu weeds to destroy them. In building mode, he can pick any item from the inventory and cover the weed to destroy it. Chauncey must use a dig icon to remove the fungus from the ground. Out of nowhere. Alright, cool story. And then finally, we have this little thing here, which looks brand fucking new. And it just says Crystal Dynamics is a whole new game, and basically this is just telling about the Horde as well as other games, I guess, made by the same producer or whatever. So anyway, there you guys go. That has been Mr. Bones for the Sega Saturn and the Horde for the 3DO. Hope you guys enjoyed the video as always.